Thanks a lot. So a couple of years ago, I came here and talked about the human body's connection to the ocean, how we're all born with these amphibious dive reflexes that allow us to dive very deep for minutes and minutes at a time. And I talked about the people who had honed these abilities and used it, these free divers who were connecting with the ocean, who were connecting with themselves and with oceanic animals. And they were doing stuff like this. They were diving face to face with sharks. They were diving with dolphins. They were even having encounters with sperm whales. And along the way, I learned how to free dive. And the first thing I learned about free diving was that it was all about breathing. The only way that you can hold your breath for about 3 to 4 minutes at a time and dive down a few hundred feet is if you knew how to breathe and optimize each breath and were able to hold it in certain ways and to calm yourself and to calm your heart. So the ability to hold your breath and to free dive, those were completely connected. They were one thing. But I kept wondering, what were the other benefits of breathing this way on dry land? Well, these guys knew it. Yogis, they understood that respiration was absolutely part of health. You can't have health before you master respiration. So I asked a few doctors if how we breathe really mattered. And the answer I heard was pretty much, it didn't. Basically, breathing like this was the same as breathing like this. The point was, we just needed to get oxygen into us. As long as we weren't diseased, our bodies would do the rest. We were all built with these amazing mechanisms that allow us to compensate if we're breathing too fast or too slow or too deep. Our bodies could do everything, and they would always maintain homeostasis. So I gave up researching this in any real way, but I kept practicing all of these different breathing techniques I learned from the free divers. And I noticed something. I felt a lot better, had a lot more energy, got a lot fewer headaches, I lost some weight. And so I got even more interested in this just from a personal standpoint, and I started some more stringent and intense breathing techniques. This is called Sudarshan Kriya, where you just sit cross-legged and you breathe in certain patterns. And I noticed within about 5 minutes of trying this for my first time, I sweated through my t-shirt, I sweated through my socks, through my jeans, my hair was wet. So if how we breathe didn't matter, why would sitting stationary and breathing in a specific pattern elicit such a transformation in my own body, give me so much energy, make me sweat like this? So obviously there was something going on here. So I started talking to some more researchers who told me that yes, how we breathe was everything. And they were discovering that good breathing was essential to health and longevity, and poor breathing was a problem that was contributing to a bunch of different problems. And how we breathed was actually, in many ways, as important to what we ate. We took in about 30 pounds of air in and out of our lungs every day. How we breathed was also as important as how much we exercised. So this good breathing, that was very good, it's very healthy. Poor breathing was really bad. And as a matter of fact, poor breathing habits were attributed to a number of chronic problems: hypertension, depression, chronic sinusitis, acid reflux. All of these things were either exacerbated or sometimes caused by poor breathing. So I realize this all sounds pretty wacko, but this was all clarified by dozens and dozens of different studies over decades and decades. The 5,400 different mammals on the planet, why are humans the only ones with crooked teeth? If you look at chimpanzees, perfect teeth. This gentleman, the Bergerac macaque, perfect teeth. Marine mammals, guess what? They all have perfect teeth. Even my dog, I pinned her down, took a picture of her teeth, and they were perfect. Meanwhile, this is what we have. This is pretty common for young people to have teeth like this. And if we don't do anything about it, they can end up like this. So 80 to 90% of us have crooked teeth. Why? So the next question they asked me, they said, of the 5,400 different mammals, why are humans the only ones who have sleep apnea? Why are we the only ones that snore? Some bulldogs snore, but beyond that, humans are the only ones. 50% of us snore, and a quarter of us suffer from sleep apnea. So why? Why would this happen? I've always thought that crooked teeth, I thought that this was a genetic problem, but then I thought about it a little more, and my parents had great teeth, and I had awful teeth. Then I thought, sleep apnea, that's always a problem associated with obesity, but it's actually not. Tens of millions of skinny and normal weight people also have sleep apnea. So the answers, they told me, are in the human skulls. And by looking at evolution, all of this becomes clear. This woman represents the sort of facial growth that we had about 500 years ago. As the centuries pass, she starts representing where we are now. So what happens when your face grows backwards and your mouth grows smaller? Teeth have nowhere to go, so they come in crooked. They have to fight for space. There's no room for them. About 300,000 years ago, this is the oldest human skeleton that we have. Check out its teeth. It's perfect. So this is a pre-human species, perfect teeth once again. So these guys didn't have dentists, they didn't have braces, they didn't have headgear or orthodontists or scope or Invisalign, and they all had perfect teeth. So what you're seeing right now is what has happened to the airways in humans. This is why we have sleep apnea. This is why we have crooked teeth. And this is why we can't breathe right. And this is also why, one of the main reasons why we have so many chronic problems. I just looked up sleep apnea on a good friend PubMed here, and there's like 7,000 different articles showing the deleterious effects of sleep apnea. So are you guys depressed yet? Because I certainly was when I discovered all of this, but it made just such perfect sense. You just can't deny it. And how do we get from this back to that, and from this back to that? So changing your skeletal structure, that's really hard, and no one's going to do that. But what you can do is change the way you're breathing. And by optimizing the 20,000 breaths you take every day, something amazing happens. So many of those modern chronic diseases, you can either greatly reduce the symptoms, or sometimes you can get rid of them entirely. So these are the facts. This guy knew all about it. These guys know all about it. And we can do it too. So this is what I've discovered over the last couple of years researching a book on the lost art and science of breathing, following a single inhale as it makes its way through our bodies, through our noses, through our mouth, down our throat, into our lungs, into every healthy cell of our body. When I first started writing this book, my friends, who are journalists and authors, they said, "You're writing a book about breathing? Why would you write a book about breathing?"
It's like walking.
Yeah. Well, there's a good new book about walking.
Is there? Really?
So they were ripping on me quite a bit until they heard some of the details of it. And the stuff has been right in front of us the whole time, and it's so obvious that no one's really paying attention to it. And the scientific foundation, all the research is there. And that's what makes these researchers, these scientists, so frustrated. We have 50 years of rock solid science here, showing the problems with mouth breathing, showing the problems with snoring and sleep apnea. No one's really been paying attention. We're treating all these separate problems that are associated with these core issues, and we're not looking at the core issue. And I think that breathing has to be considered along with diet and exercise as a pillar of health. Because even if you eat keto, vegan, paleo, whatever, even if you exercise all the time, if you're not breathing right, you're never really going to be healthy. We know that to be the truth. Slow it down and breathe less. And that breathing less is applicable for almost anyone. Someone with emphysema or chronic lung problem is going to need to breathe more, right? So if you're someone in reasonable health, there's a good chance you're breathing more than you have to. And that's the reason why you're doing these breath holds, right?
Yes.
That's to get your tolerance for CO2 up.
Correct.
So you can be more comfortable breathing less. And if anyone doubts this, like if anyone's just like, I breathe less, I'm not getting enough oxygen, get a pulse oximeter. They're $20, very cheap, and watch what happens when you breathe less. And chances are
very high that your oxygen either will not move or will increase by the less you breathe. You say, how is that possible? Because that's how the body works. To think you're getting more oxygen, you're just breathing the stuff back out, which is why going to an oxygen bar for a healthy person is going to do nothing for you. It is about using the breath in your body most efficiently, not constantly needing more. So nasal breathing, and this is how I set up the chapters in the book, as you know. Nose, slow, less, big exhale, and chewing food, which we did not get into, but that'll be for the next one.